Okay guys, welcome to Talk Now Podcast with your host Mr. P. We've got it playing again, which isn't very good. I've just had a massive thing you can see here in my green screen. It's just moved, so if you just bear with me 1 second, hopefully I can just zoom in there and try and will zoom into me a bit, that's okay. Yeah, it just decided to fall down on my head, so that was a nice start to the live stream today. So what I'm going to do, guys, first of all, if you've never been here before, this is an open broadcast. I'm just doing some live talks, live chat. So if you want to get involved into Talk Now Podcast, there's a link running across at the bottom to join in the Discord. In the Discord, there will be like a waiting room where you can join in the waiting room, have a decent question ready. Please, any background noise or anything like that, just make sure it's off or do your best to reduce the background noise. It will be appreciated for when you do call in. A second option, if you feel nervous, I mean, I'm only just getting used to talking into the camera myself. So if you just want to leave some questions in the chat directly below me, I'll do my best to answer them questions. And we've had a little bit of good news and a little bit of bad news. So I'll start off with the good news. We do have a couple of artists on SoundCloud and Spotify which have given me the go ahead to basically put some of the music on here. So during the breaks when I start to play a little bit of music, it gives me that opportunity. I've already had a copyright claim off my last video, so I don't want to get any more. So the couple of artists that I've got, I'll be playing some of their music a little bit later on. And what I've done at the beginning of this one, I've just pulled up the beginning song, which is starting to be like a beginning intro to the actual podcast, which would be upbeat, and the artist is Aries Beats. You can go and check his music out as well, and I'm sure he'd appreciate that. I need to get a link for him or for that beat because I have been using it in my previous podcast, but I don't have any copyright claims from that, so you know that's all good, and I know that the rest of the songs that I'm going to be playing are fine. So my first article or for first topic of today is this one, guys. It's called Warning: a dangerous YouTube virus is going around on Facebook Messenger. Now, I don't actually use Facebook Messenger myself. I don't tend to use Facebook either, but I do use Facebook for like business and marketing techniques and things like that, which I have talked about in episode 1 and 2. Facebook ads, Google ads and things like that. So I just wanted to point out this article that I seen today, which is this virus going around on Messenger, and from what I've read, which I'll just give you a quick introduction to it, don't open the link in Messenger. There's a dangerous virus going around on Facebook Messenger at the moment. It makes it seem as if a friend has sent you a YouTube video of interest to yourself, which we all do, but if you click it, basically your personal details could end up in the hand of internet criminals. Which leads me on to the bit of bad news that I had, and it's why I specifically wanted to talk about this on Facebook Messenger. If I just load up my phone, I received a text message yesterday from HMRC basically saying about me eligible for my tax rebate. Now, I am self-employed. I've been self-employed for 10 years, and I thought with it being January, it's the new tax year starts in April, but you can actually get your refund a little bit earlier to that. So I went through the process. I mean, I did try it earlier on a live stream. I did try to get up, but if I just follow the link in the text message, I'll just see if it loads up. Say my connection's interrupted. So for some reason the actual thing is not opening up now, but it actually opened up a website that looks exactly the same as hmrc.gov, and if you're self-employed and you get a text message pretty much similar to this one, I mean, I don't really want to put it on my screen because it's got my contact details and things like that on there, but I'm just making everybody aware that the HMRC text message about refunds and things like that, pretty much similar to the Facebook Messenger one. It's a scam. Don't click it. Don't fall for it like I did. I've had 4 different pending transactions coming out my bank, something linked with Ryanair tickets or something like that. The bank was telling me, and it's an instant fraud case. I don't want to go into too much details, but just avoid it, guys. I don't want you making the same mistake. So going on to the next song from one of the very first artists, and I do really appreciate him. I've been messaging him, and his music kind of does fit within the technology, science, space, UFO type genre of music that I do want to be playing on here. I'm all up for lots of different type of music, but at the end of the day, I think this type of music I am liking myself at the moment, and I'll talk about NRW records and things like that a little bit later on, where you can go and check out some of these artists, because some of the music is absolutely amazing. So I'm just going to take that article off. We shouldn't hopefully get that sound in there, which we have, but I don't know why it's doing that. Maybe these shortcuts aren't very good, and maybe I need to just actually click them off myself in OBS, because I get background noise when I'm trying to press enter on my keyboard to switch to a different video or something. It's kind of messing with it, so or I might have to set up different buttons, but I'm getting used to these buttons now anyway. So the first song coming up, his name is Isidore, and obviously it's a little bit difficult to pronounce his name correctly. And I've just grabbed myself a cup of coffee. So if you want to grab yourself a cup of coffee or a beer or whatever you like to drink, a cup of tea, then please do so. So what I've got first coming up, guys, is a song called Neon Owl, and it's by Isidore. What I'll do is I'll put a link in the chat below to his SoundCloud, and you can go and check the rest of his songs out. I think he's got 3 albums out. A lot of the work that I can use, that said I can use, is off album 1 and 2. So I've got a couple of songs there off his third album. I think he's signed up to NRW Records or something like that. And some of his most recent work, is really good too. So hopefully I might be able to get something up on the thing on the side here. No, there. I'll get something on the side here with something to NRW where you can sign up and have a listen to some of the artists on there. Oh my days! What can you do? I'm just going to play this tune, guys. I'll sort my green screen out and we'll be right back. It's live, mate. What can you do? This is Neon Owl by Isidore. Hey guys, welcome back to Talk Now Podcast. That was absolutely crazy, but I'm going to leave it in because it was funny as hell, and I think I handled it quite well as well. So that there, guys, was Neon Owl by Isidore. Please correct me in the messages, Mister, if I'm pronounced which way you want me to pronounce your name. But that was Neon Owl, which I personally like it. Want you guys to maybe leave a comment in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about it, and then have a listen to a few more songs of his on SoundCloud. I'm going to play a few more a little bit later on, and I just can't get that falling out of me, banging me on the head. Funny. Okay, so another artist that I've been in touch with is a guy called, is his name Vogel? His name's Vogel, and he's got only a few songs on SoundCloud, but he redirected me to Spotify, and I'll be playing a couple of his songs a little bit later on. So stay tuned to check some of them out, and I'll be leaving a link to his Spotify as well. So okay then, guys. Next up, we've got a little news article. I need to sort that bleep out because that's irritating me, and it's going to irritate you. So I was just reading through the news. I have watched a video on Trump again this morning. He's talking a lot of sense to me. I think he's great, but there's a lot of people out there don't like him. So that's another situation where we do have the Discord link in the bottom, running across the bottom. So if you want to get involved on Talk Now Podcast, you can call the Discord. We'll have a little bit of chat, and then if also you're a little bit wary about coming on and having a chat, then please leave a question for me in the top chat, and I'll try and do my best to either answer them or have a little bit of conversation with you guys. So yeah, this little article that I read, it's actually quite a long article. I read this morning, and the headline is, as Birmingham plans to stop vehicles driving through the city, we reveal the areas set to ban cars or have a low emission zone within 3 years. So, I mean, this is good news and bad news for petrol and diesel cars, old diesel cars and diesel vans, which I've got an old diesel van myself, and I have a diesel car. Now, I did mention in EP2 that, I love the Tesla Model 3S, love the new Roadster 2, I think it's called, even more. I'd love to actually own one, love to be charging it up in a garage and getting out in one of them and being more, let's say, environmental friendly in that situation. Now, I'm just going to read through a little bit of the article, and then I'll make a little bit of pointers that I think maybe you can discuss with me as well, here on Talk Now Podcast. So basically, it's like an increasing number of towns and cities across Britain plan to introduce restrictions and bans on vehicles in a bid to reduce pollution levels. So Birmingham City Council is the latest to publish its draft transport plan, which is highlighted by a proposal to ban car users from making through trips to get from one side of the city to the other, and introducing a 20 mph limit on these residential roads. Which, yeah, you can see the argument for it, bringing the pollution down where a lot of people are shopping and just generally having a day out with the kids. It's a bit like smoking, passive smoking. That's another subject completely, but it's the similar kind of thing. But it's not the only area looking to accelerate a restriction on cars. Now, there's quite a few here, guys. Oxford and York have also confirmed in the last week similar intentions to introduce low emission zones for vehicles too. Here's a rundown of all the UK locations, either with driving charges or car bans in place or plans to actually implement them in the near future. So, because the very first one is obviously talking about Birmingham, the most controversial element of Birmingham's project is about transforming the city centre and a ban on vehicles from driving through it. It intends to borrow initiative already in the use in Ghent in Belgium, which forces motorists planning to cross the city to exit their area via the ring road and travel to their desired locations, potentially on the other side of the Midlands city, using this route. So only motorists whose destination is in the city itself will be allowed to drive in, but will be forced to pay a charge if their car is not compliant with vehicle emission standards as part rules being introduced in a few months. So it's coming pretty sharpish, and I think some of them is by July this year in 2020. Now I know we have here in England a commitment to the climate and fuels and emissions and regulations, so to speak, and by 2050 we want to reduce that by a certain percentage. Now I'm all up for electric cars. That's me personally. Let's get rid of petrol and diesel completely and just have full autonomous electric vehicles. I know we're far away ahead from that, but at the same time, it's making the transition from one to the other. Now, as we all know, there's the car industry and there's the taxation on petrol and diesel, and obviously electric's a lot cheaper. We'd all like as electric and gas a lot cheaper, which I've never seen any government or any of them in charge actually talking about reducing as bills, reducing the cost of living, which should help your normal families. And that's just another complete subject, but it's within the same realm. And I just want to scroll down through some of these because of some of the areas. I mean, the 20 mile an hour zone, they do say in this article, it's been proven not to make any difference either on emissions or safety. I think it was something like 1.7 million were wasted on this study. I think it was the one in Newcastle when I got down to Newcastle. Let me just find that. Or was it Manchester? Might have been Manchester. Manchester planned clean air zone is due to hit the city from 2021, but currently has no intention of affecting private cars. Instead, buses, coaches and HGVs will face £100 a daily charge, while taxi operators with non-compliant vehicles have to sump up £7.50 a day. I think it was Newcastle that I read. I think it was £50 a day they was going to charge for being in the local city and the main city areas. And this is happening all over, guys. It's happening. We know about it in London already. Leeds, Glasgow, Edinburgh. So it's coming to all major cities throughout the United Kingdom. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't really know. But at the end of the day, if they're gonna make public transport really expensive, for argument's sake, then it's not going to work. Because if I want to get a train from my area to somewhere in the northeast, just for a ticket, the prices are absolutely extortionate. It's not. It doesn't make it viable to travel by train. It's a lot cheaper in a car. So they've got to get the balance correct. And I wish England, which I said in episode 2, I wish England was, with it being the volume and size of the country relative to other countries, it's quite a small country, the United Kingdom, and we could be one of the leading countries in technology and in technology, emissions, and electric vehicles and autonomous driving, electric trains, even magnet trains like they've got in China. Let's develop this country into the way forward and hope other countries will follow us. Let me just see if I can find the one. I think it was £50 a day in Newcastle. Yeah, like Manchester, the Newcastle Clean Air Zone won't initially hit private cars. Instead, diesels, HGVs, buses and coaches that don't meet emission standards will have to pay £50 a day. And then they're saying that all these charges will go back into the city. Same again, it's another good thing, but is it actually, is it more of, we don't have enough car parking spaces and things like that, and they charge you a fortune to park in these places anyway. All the roads have got double yellows everywhere, so you can't actually park anywhere near the city. You've got to go to the car parks and pay for the car parking. I did say I didn't really want to make this political, but just while I was talking about that, I believe Boris Johnson is going to remove the charges on hospitals in car parks for certain people. Now, I mean, that's a great thing. Who wants, when a family member's poorly, to be paying £5 for your parking for 2 hours when, we actually, taxpayers' money, built most of the bloody car parks in the first place. So, we're paying double. So yeah, I just wanted to touch upon this because it is kind of important. It's what's coming in 2020 and 2021, and there's going to be a lot of charges, and we need to be checking as vehicles, make sure our emissions in as vehicles are at a certain standard, and so on and so on. So it's coming, guys. Good thing or bad thing, please leave something in the comment section below. Call the Discord, have a bit of a chat. We can discuss some of this and get your opinion across, other than me just rambling on about it. But yeah, I find this kind of stuff interesting, so that's why I'm going to talk about it here on Talk Now Podcast. So what I'm going to do now, guys, I'm just going to drop a next song up, and that sound is now irritating, even more so because I can't change it at the minute. I might have a look at it while this tune's playing. So next we've got coming up by Vogel. I will leave a link to his Spotify in the chat below us. And I think I'm going to play Dreamwaves. Now, I have listened to quite a lot of his music, so I'm going to play Dreamwave, guys, and this is by Vogel. Enjoy. Okay, guys, welcome back to Talk Now Podcast. So that was Vogel there. That was one of the first tracks that I've played of his, which was called Dreamwaves. I've left a link in the chat below where you can click the link and go and listen to some of his other music. Although, same again, I've got a few more songs by Vogel. And I think next up we'll be playing another tune from Isidore. And good on him for getting the next album that he's done, his latest album, up on NRW Records. I've not actually got a link to that yet, but I will get it up shortly. And I might do a little bit to talk about NRW because some of the artists on there, like I've said earlier on, they're absolutely amazing. I thought they were brilliant. I spent about 2 or 3 hours on there listening to some of the songs. There's a few more songs on there. I can't remember the name because I've not got it up to do as a reference. I could get it up. That I listened to with a bit more singing in it as well, and some of the songs on there I listened to at least 5-10 different artists over a 2 or 3 hour slot, and some of the songs on there I'd like to get some permission from them and play some of them songs on here as well. So if you want to send any of your music to Talk Now Podcast, I've left the link down in the bottom right corner to you as talknowpodcast@gmail.com, so you can send some of your songs in if you want to be playing some of your songs on here. I'd really appreciate that. But with it being a Talk Now podcast show, I also want people to get involved, come and have a little bit of chat. Let's have a little bit of debate about things. If you want to talk about certain movies or science, technology, or whatever your subject may be, let's just get a little bit of conversation going on Talk Now podcast. I did mention in one of my old podcasts, like I watched some of the Joe Rogan Experience. They've got 2 or 3 in the studio, and it's a bit more entertainment where they've all got a little bit of banter going between each other, and that's kind of what I want to do. People can come into the studio as well live. We can get people in that way who want to talk about whatever they want to promote or whatever they want to talk about. That's fine by me. So whilst being in episode 1 and 2, me talking about the Australian bushfires, I have also put up there a link on every episode. So I'm just going to bring this up at the moment because I do think it's important, guys. And I'm really sorry for that noise. I'm going to eradicate that. That won't be in the next stream. So Australia remains in the grip of an unprecedented bushfire crisis. Catastrophic fire conditions have resulted in state of emergency being declared in recent weeks in Queensland and New South Wales. And so, as you read this, millions of hectares are ablaze, directly threatening lives, property, livestock, and devastating kangaroo and koala habitats. Now, I think one of the tennis players, because of all the smoke and fumes and stuff in the air, I think in the picture I read a little bit of story. She was on her knees. They can't actually play. So that's another reason why I'm going to put this on here. This is the MSN appeal. So if you want to donate to the cause, I will put a link on, which I'm just going to do now, which I have done in my other 2 streams. And you can go here, guys, and just put whatever you can afford. It all helps. I mean, at the moment we're at 90,502 and 32. I believe yesterday or the day before it was on 72,000, and the day before that it was around the 45,000. So money is being donated and it's going in it, and to support bushfires affected and the communities, of course. And I think I mentioned in episode 2, the wildlife, they've got nowhere to run. They're trying to dodge all the fires and smoke, and they're just running everywhere. So if you could do that, I'd really appreciate that. For some reason I've switched to my thing, maybe because I've just pressed I didn't press enter, but for some reason it switched to my 2 screen. Sorry about that, just noticed it at the last second. So guys, I'm going to keep this one quite short today. I do have things to do this afternoon. So what I'm going to do is I will play another song by Isidore to play us out at the end, and you can find a link to him in the very first link below. And I will finish the podcast off today. So if you want to donate, the link will be provided below. And if you've never been here before and you like the show, then please support us by joining subscribing, clicking the bell icon so you know when I go live again in the future. I'm thinking also of doing some late night podcasts, maybe on a Saturday night, 11 till 12, Sunday nights, same again, 11 till 12, somewhere around there, or 10 till 11, or even 12 till 1. So, if you want to contribute, leave some comments in the comments. I do read them all and I try and get back to you. Just putting some ideas. If you think, yeah, I'd like something on a Saturday night, something a little bit more up tempo. I am going to leave the green screen falling in this live stream. So, playing us out for the last song of today, I'm going to play Touch the Sky 2, and this is from Isidore. And if you want to follow his music or check some of his other songs out, please go to the link, the very first link that I put there. And thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next Talk Now podcast.